Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We will begin with the beginning of Parshas Vayigash, chapter 44, verse 18. So basically, the viceroy of Egypt, who has not yet revealed himself to them as their brother Yosef, he's decided that it's appropriate that he should seize Binyamin as a hostage. This was exactly what their father was worried about, and this is the worst possible outcome of their coming back to Egypt. And now Yehuda takes a stand. Vayigash elav Yehuda. Yehuda approached the viceroy. Vayomer bi Adoni, said, "Please, my master, please, may your servant say something in the ears of my master. Do not become angry at your servant. A person like you, like Paro." There's a lot of midrashim and all these things, but I just want to read through the psukim for now. Verse 19. Adoni sha'al es avodav lemor hayesh lachem avo ach. My master asked, do you have a brother or a father? Verse 20, and we said, yes, we have an elderly father and a youngest brother. There was another brother who died, and he's the only remaining child. This child, the son who's not with us, is the only remaining child from that mother. Verse 21, and you said, I'd like to meet this brother of yours. Verse 22, and I'll place my eye on him. We said back, it's going to be a very bad idea if we would take the son away from our father. That would be terrible. Be terrible for our father. He would die. 23, you said back, you said, if you're not going to bring Binyamin, I don't want to see you. Verse 24, and it was when we came, when we got back to our father, we told him what happened. Verse 25, our father said, get food. Verse 26, we said we're not going to be able to get food unless we bring Binyamin. Verse 27, our father said, you know that my wife bore me 2 children. Verse 28, one of them is gone. I think he's been ripped up by an animal and I never saw him again. If you take this other child from my wife Rachel and something happens to him, it'll bring me down to the depths. And so now Yehuda says to the viceroy, if I come back to my father and the child is not with us, his soul is tied to his soul. It's going to be a terrible thing for our father. I obligated myself that I'll always be guilty to my father if I don't bring back his son. Let me serve in my brother's stead, because how can I go back to my father without my brother? This is a very long presentation, and whether it makes sense for Yehuda to be saying this to the viceroy of Egypt in real time, it's a lot for the Torah to be reviewing all of this. What's the message here? Is there a deeper message in what Yehuda is saying? What's going on? Okay, so let's see the Ramban. Ramban on Pasuk Yutes. Adoni sha'alas avadav. Lo yodati tam la'arichos divrei Yehuda b'sipur ma shahaya kvar b'neim. I don't know why the Torah has to go through such great lengths for Yehuda to be reviewing that which already treated. This is all just a review. There's a medrash, there was a line in there, it's like verse 22, I think. Verse 21, excuse me. Yehuda says to him, you said, bring your brother and I'll place my eye upon him. So there's a medrash that Yehuda is saying to him, is this your idea of placing your eye upon him, taking him hostage? Ain't no taina. Ramban says that's not a good claim that Yehuda will make against the viceroy. I mean, he said, I'm a powerful person. I have food and you want it. I insist in order to get food, you bring me this person. It doesn't make any sense to say, well, we brought you this person, but it was only if you were going to be nice to him. No, I never promised that. By the way, the reason that the viceroy is saying I'm going to keep this brother of yours is because I think you stole my goblet. So like that's a big deal. So no, it's not fair. You said that we should bring our brother, and now you're not being nice to him, even though you said we should bring him. And he happened to have stolen something as far as you're concerned. I mean, what in the world, what kind of response is that? He was very nice to him at first. He said that God should bless him. He made a whole celebratory feast in honor of the arrival of Binyamin. He gave them a lot of stuff. And he gave them food like they could handle. I mean, he greeted him very warmly. That's what it means. I'll place my eye upon him. Unfortunately, he has suspicions that he stole something from him, and that changed his tune. Says the Ramban, I think what's going on here is Yehuda is trying to arouse the mercy of the viceroy. Ki chashav Yehuda, ki elukim hu yorei, kasher amar lo, kasher noag imoem chemla ki reichet, l'nachim osam alatzar she'asa lahem. He at one point tells them, the viceroy tells them, I have fear of God. And another juncture, he's being nice to them. And it seems that it's a mercy that he's exhibiting to them because he feels bad for the distress. He seems to be a God-fearing, ethical person with a heart. V'zeh inyan hasipur. And this is what Yehuda is conveying to the viceroy. Omar lo, anachnu be'ones, higanu ba'achenu zeh, b'bnei she'ilas adoni. Believe me, we weren't interested in telling you about our brother. You asked us a question, we felt we needed to be honest with you. Even though you had instructed that we should bring the brother, we didn't. Our response was, we're sorry, it's not an option. Rav, the only reason we ultimately brought him is because we were going to starve. But our position was, if we're not going to get any more food from Egypt, we won't get any more food from Egypt. We're not bringing Binyamin. That was why it was so long since you saw us. But then we were desperate. You said we shouldn't come back unless we brought Binyamin. And by the way, our father wouldn't have allowed us to bring Binyamin if not for this tremendous danger for all of us. And then he finally admitted with a feeling of fear and worry, and now that he sees that the child is not there, we don't come back with Binyamin, he's going to die with a mournful soul. It'll kill him. So now you can't. This can't just be Yehuda says, "Please let us bring back Binyamin," or "Please let me switch places with him." He has to give him context. So the context is, yes, it is a review, but he's explaining to him, we weren't even going to come back. It was so unheard of for our father to let Binyamin go. The only thing is we were desperate. So now, please have mercy on us and on the elderly man back home. V'kach osi tachas anar le'eved olam, and take me instead of Binyamin for an eternal slave. I'll be your slave for the rest of my life. I can do more work than him anyway. You'll get a better servant, and it'll be an act of kindness from you. And again, the Ramban is saying he's talking to him as a person with a heart. That's what's going on here. The Ramban just does one more wrinkle. He says, if we come back, the pasuk said, if we come back without our brother, then we will have brought our father down to the depths. Ramban says, maybe this is a nice way of saying you will have brought our father down to the depths. And it's maybe what they're trying to allude to is, if our father dies, it's your fault. But he doesn't want to say that explicitly. That's another possibility the Ramban is saying. But again, he's giving kind of context. Lefarish lo yoser. Vayigash b'seisur dvarav she'emasa agavia tachbula meito la'alilam. Kilom yivakesh liroso al korcham. It's a very interesting wrinkle here. And he's saying, the Ramban is suggesting, I want to move on to the next thing, so I'll just say it briefly, but the Ramban is suggesting that Yehuda's making a little bit of a hint that he doesn't want to say explicitly, which is, this is really interesting. You were very, very interested in our brother. We were very reluctant to bring our brother down. And what do you know? Whose bag is the goblet found in? Could it be that for whatever reason your interest in our brother is such that you want to keep him here? Which, of course, was absolutely correct, not for the reasons that Yehuda might have surmised, but yes, it was all a scam. But that's another shot that he's saying to him. He's kind of hinting to him. A person like you, like Paro, it's sort of a little bit of I thought you were better than this type of allusion. Okay, let's just jump ahead to verse 27. What that we read the pasuk already, but just to glance at the pasuk. So when Yehuda is reviewing what happened with Yaakov, he said, our father told us, that my wife bore me 2 children. What's he saying to them? So just let's see Ramban real quick. Ramban on pasuk Chav Zayin. Temidatem kishnayim yod li ishti. Im yomar shu yachid li imo matam bazeh. Sheteiret sevaso bara sholach reishish lo kama banim rabim rei banim. V'imo kvar mesa lo sivka alav befanim. Thank God. Every person is precious, of course, but he has a big family. What's he saying? And what's the point of, my wife bore me 2 children? What's that about? Is he still mourning his wife Rachel? What's Avalatam Yaakov lo lakach isha midato rak Rachel. Who's the one wife that Yaakov really wanted to marry? Rachel. V'zetam yodali ishti. Says the Ramban. Yaakov says, my wife bore me 2 children. What does he mean, my wife? He means the one woman I really think of as my wife. I had 2 concubines or maidservants, whatever, and one woman who I was married to, that I was tricked into a marriage. It's one woman that I wanted to marry, and that woman bore me 2 children. And the fact that they were Rachel's children, it was as if they were the only children I had. And basically all the other children were like second-class children. And Yosef's gone. So this is the only one left like that. So interesting, Ramban. I just want to point out, just in the context of this idea of Yosef stringing things along, as we discussed a week or 2 ago, this is amazing. Yosef is sitting here listening to Yehuda say, there were these 2 children that held such a special place in our father's heart. And he's not saying it with malice. He's saying, this is just the reality. It's just very, very interesting. We discussed last week that it was very interesting for Yosef to see how the brothers would interact with Binyamin getting special gifts. He's seeing how they are interacting with himself and with Binyamin. That's going to be indicative for how they're going to be as a broader family. So we had the Ramban going through why Yehuda has the whole big speech to the viceroy. We also had this Ramban about Yaakov's very unique affection for Binyamin.